I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone to our first live meeting again. Reminder to turn off your cell phones if you have them. Loranda, could we have roll call, please?
To come up to this microphone tonight. Mayor Bain.
Here.
Councilor Gatto. Councilor Lundstrom.
Here.
Councilor Scalisi.
Here, sorry.
Councilor Sherman.
Here.
Councilor Stroud.
Here.
Councilor Spradlin.
Here.
Okay, we have a rather lengthy agenda tonight, so we'll go ahead and just dive right in. One thing I want to mention, we've added one item to our work session that Loranda gave me a discussion about the intergovernmental agreement with CDOT about the sidewalk project coming through town on Highway 34. That'll be in the work session. Number 4, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the regular meeting minutes of June 8th, 2020?
I do have a correction that I need to make involving the executive session. I didn't make a note on the minutes, and I need to do that.
Okay, so we'll add that. Okay, I would look for a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'd move we approve minutes of June 8th as amended.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
John, come on up. Okay, we have a motion and a second on approval of minutes as amended. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi.
Yes.
Councilor Stroud.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Do I include Councilor Gatto in this one?
Yes.
Okay, Councilor Gatto.
Minutes.
On the minute.
Minutes.
And Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to visitors and delegations. Just a minute here, my computer's not. Okay, citizens are invited to speak to council on any item that does not have a public hearing scheduled. There's a 5-minute time limit per person unless otherwise noted by the mayor. Please note that no formal action will be taken on an item that is not on the posted agenda due to the open meeting law provision. However, they may be placed on a future posted agenda if action is required. To better assist you with questions, please submit them in writing to the city clerk, and someone from staff will respond. With that, I'll open the microphone and podium up for public comment. Is there anyone that would like to publicly comment tonight? Okay, moving on to number 5, management. Final settlement with Western cleanup on Brush AgriPark water line. I believe Dale Colrick has that one? You have that one, okay.
So, Western Cleanup did the water line out at the Brush AgriPark, and that was our expansion phase 2 of that water line. They have completed the project, and we needed to put that in the newspaper, so it's been put in 2 newspapers consecutively, and anybody that had any liens against them had until 5 p.m. this evening to come to City Hall and file a lien. Nobody's came in. And so at this time, we would ask council to approve final settlement for Western Cleanup so we can pay them out in full.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve final settlement?
I'll move we approve final settlement with Western Cleanup.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second. Justin, second. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Stroud.
Yes.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom.
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi.
Yes.
Councilor Gatto.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5B, final settlement with Scott Construction for Highway 34 water line replacement.
Yes, Scott Construction, before they started the paving out here, they did the water line on Edison Street. And they have completed that project, and once again, we put it in the newspaper 2 different weeks for anybody who had any liens against them to come in. They had until 5 p.m. this evening. Never received anything on any of those as well. So once again, we're asking at this time for council to approve final settlement on Scott Construction so we can get them paid in full.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this final settlement?
I move we approve the final settlement with Scott Construction.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Strau?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Moving on to 5C, CDOT Intergovernmental Agreement for manhole lids and rings on Highway 34 and right-of-way for ADA ramps at City Hall. Dale?
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet, you should have a copy of that intergovernmental agreement. This is a standard agreement that the state usually takes out with CDOT amongst other municipalities and individuals. What this does is allow CDOT to acquire some minor portions of right-of-way here on the corner of City Hall. It's not very much, just enough that they can construct an ADA compliant ramp there on the corner. Also, what's not actually listed here is the removal of that steel pole that's right there in the corner of that ramp. And then finally, the replacement of manhole lids and rings on US 34 coming through brush. Other than the failure of the roadway downtown, the second biggest complaint that I get from our citizens is the seismic activity when these trucks start pounding on these manholes. And so this is, again, another opportunity that the city has to partner with CDOT to have those replaced and put in a flush manner so we don't have this banging and jolting that occurs. And so some of those manhole lids and rings are older than I am at this point, and they're becoming rounded on the edges, so they have a tendency to want to bounce and flip a little bit. So while we have this opportunity in 2021, we can do that. I'd like to point out that we do have 6 of them done in the current paving that's being occurred, so we'll be down to about 16 of these instead of 22. And with that, we are looking for an estimated maximum obligation of $150,200. However, keep in mind, though, we do have 6 done already. We'll have 16 left. And with that, the staff recommends the approval of the CDOT Intergovernmental Agreement.
Okay. Dale, on the concrete that they laid out there, I've noticed when we have in the conference room that sounds like the whole building's shaking when trucks move through. Will that be completely gone for the most part? do you think
No,
now, or
because
not?
that manhole's still in the asphalt section. That'll be 2021 still.
Oh, that's the next,
But,
okay,
yeah, that's for next year.
okay,
But I know we did a budget, 80,000 this year, to replace some of these manhole lids and rings.
yeah,
And so we'll probably see some of that roll over into next year as well.
okay. Any questions, council?
Does this 150,000 price, does that take into account the ones that are already done?
No, no, it won't. However, it's estimated as such, and we're not obligated for that because it's just an estimated, but that does put a ceiling on what we will owe.
So that won't be part of the 150?
I'm not following the question.
I'm just trying to figure
Oh,
out
the 6 manholes that we've already done will not be part of the 150,000, no. No.
We already paid for those?
Yeah.
Or is that- okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, thank
Any
you,
other
Dale.
questions?
Think we're good? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'd look for a motion on this intergovernmental agreement.
I'd move that we approve the IGA with CDOT.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second? Larry? Larry seconds. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Get your exercise today.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Strau?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5D, building incentives for 2020-21. Rick Caroglian.
Good evening, council. Last council meeting, we had a work session to discuss building incentives, and I wanted to formally bring that to a recommendation this time. The same thing that we talked about is basically a 50% reduction on the building incentives, subtracting, we're not adding the building permit fee, so that's going to be at full price. Everything would be the same as what we've had before in the past. but I'd like to make a recommendation that it would not just be for one group, but for the whole, anybody that's coming to us. And I created a sheet that would be for single family and multi-residential together. So it'd be one sheet that we can say we're going to simplify it and make it easy, but want to make this as a recommendation for your approval.
Okay, and it includes half off of everything except the building permit?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same as what we had before. And if you have questions, I can go through it, but it's exactly what we've done in the past for our last building incentives,
Yeah.
except for the building permits. We kept that at full price.
Okay. Any questions, council? Okay, thank you. I would look for a motion on building incentives.
I move we approve the building incentives for 2020 to 2021.
Oh, I do have one question. It says toward the bottom here, let's see, it says the building permit must be issued by December 31st, 2021, and building must be complete and a certificate of occupancy issued by the same date. Did we want the same date on, is that correct? It says you've got to have the permit by December 31st, 2021, and it also has to be occupied by December 31st, 2021.
As long as they have the certificate of occupancy by then. you're
Okay, okay. All right, that's all.
Which that really supersedes getting the permit. You
Yeah,
gotta have-
and that's what I was
Yeah.
getting at. Okay.
So if you wait till the last minute, you're not going to be. And
Yeah.
that's what the note was. If a certificate of occupancy is not issued due to the date, then there's no incentive.
There's no
Yeah.
way.
So
you're
you
gonna-
have to get it. You have to really apply.
That's a
before-
fast builder there. Okay. All right, thank you, Rick. Okay, we have a motion. Did we have a second?
Second.
Dan seconds. Any further discussion on incentives? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Okay, 5E, CIS Cost Sharing Intergovernmental Agreement, Chief Boss.
Good evening. This is slightly deceptive. It's actually an IT governmental agreement with the county. They provide dispatch services. They also provide the software for our records management system. So this is just a cost-sharing agreement to split the cost. They've always footed the bill for all law enforcement agencies across the county for the technology. So we remote access everything, but they maintain the servers and the personnel. So it's for the reports we do as well as for the dispatch side of things. So I've worked with Dan on this quite a bit, and we have an agreement that we think is fair and equitable. It's based on the percentage of use, so we're paying for how much we use the system. So it's already budgeted for this year. We just need to sign the agreement.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
John?
Dan, do you have anything you want to say on this?
Chief Boss did a great job working with the county, and I think we've come to an agreement that we also worked with Fort Morgan's attorneys, and we all seem to be on the same page, so staff would recommend approving it.
You don't foresee any problems during implementation?
Okay. All right, do we have a motion on this intergovernmental agreement?
I so move.
Okay, a motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Moving on to 5F, ratification of the CARES Act Relief Fund opt-in letter. I've got Matt Gordon, best and brightest intern on this one.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. I'll try and be brief since I know we got a bunch of stuff going on. There's a little bit of history to explain why we're pursuing a letter. The state of Colorado received $1.6 billion in CARES Act funding from the federal government. In that $1.6 billion, approximately $275 million has been set aside for local governments. Of that, Morgan County received approximately $2.49 million and was interested in dispersing the funds to incorporated communities within the county, including Brush. We had a meeting today with the county as well as 4 of the communities, and They have agreed to disperse the 2.49 million on a 55-45 disbursement formula, meaning 55% of the 2.49 million will remain with the county, and 45% of that will be dispersed to the communities. So I will say, we don't know exactly how much brush is getting at this moment, but I can give you a rough estimate. Is it will approach about $300,000. But it requires an agreement between the county and the communities receiving disbursements. So that agreement should be coming out to us as soon as possible. It was discussed at the meeting today. In addition to that, DOLA, you have to go through DOLA to apply for the funds that you're asking for. And in addition to submitting the agreement that you've signed with the county and the other communities that receive disbursements, you also have to get an authorized representative to sign an opt-in letter and submit that to DOLA as well. And so that's why we're asking council to approve the opt-in letter that Mayor Rick signed. Do you guys have any questions or comments on the CARES Act funding?
Great job on this.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Okay, I guess we're looking for a motion to approve an opt-in letter for the relief
We
fund.
approve the ratification of the CARES Act Relief Fund opt-in letter.
Okay, Larry makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Justin seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Gatto,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Yeah, I want to say again, thanks to Monty and Matt for fighting to get some of that CARES funding, because I think it'll come in handy. All right, moving on to 5G, Sign Code Agreement. That's our City Attorney, Dan Krob.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. What you have before you is an ordinance that will amend your current sign code. All the legwork was done by Bo Chapin and Jerry Dahl on this. Essentially, there was a Supreme Court case that said, it's Reed versus Gilbert, it said signs are speech, and to the extent you regulate the content of a sign, you're regulating speech. So you have a bunch of First Amendment issues. It's probably liability that the city doesn't want. So the amendments basically limit that liability by removing murals and works of art. So staff would recommend this approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Council?
So removing it from the sign code, was it part of the sign code? Was it part of?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it in there, I just didn't understand, like, they could have a mural as a sign? Or are we not allowing murals and signs of art
No,
anymore?
they'll still be allowed. Where you get into trouble is if you say, well, you can have this mural, but not this work of art. And when you, basically the ruling can be boiled down to, if you have to look at a sign and read it, or the content of the sign, then you're regulating content. What you can regulate is size of the sign, location of the sign, number of signs, but you can't regulate the content. So we're
The
removing this
content.
definition, so
Okay.
we're not regulating content.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
Seems like
thank
that
you,
could
Dan.
get scary.
Yeah, we're learning more and more about that. Yes, John?
Do we have someone appointed to regulate this request?
Well,
The sign code.
if council approves
How's
the
it
adjustment
work
to
out?
the code, that'll take care of itself, right? We'll delete the language that we have in there that isn't consistent with the rulings that we've seen, if it's approved. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion to either approve or disapprove the sign code amendment.
I move we approve the sign code amendment.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
John seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Please.
And I'll just stay out here just
You might as well.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Scalise,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Gatto,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
and Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5H, Boards and Commissions Appointment, Golf Course Advisory Board. Miranda.
With the Golf Course Advisory Board, we had 2 members, term limit in June of this year. The board has so far appointed Carrie Mobley to replace Bill Holland. And right now, Tom Keller is the second member who is term limited this month. He's right now to stay on the board until they appoint a replacement. And I also wanted to bring up while I'm up here, the Historic Preservation Board. We started looking through the list and needed to update that as well. So I wanted to take this opportunity to update you guys on, it looks like 3 changes. So David Lawrence was an alternate. He's since been moved to a member to replace Miriam Buckmaster, who passed away in September. Also, Willow Moskowitz has resigned as an alternate, leaving two alternate spaces available. Wendy Fife, along with Tom Hoffman, have also now been added as alternates.
Okay, so for this one, we're just looking at the golf
The
course
golf course
advisory, though,
advisory,
the others
yeah.
are just advisory.
Yeah.
And Lance, didn't you, wasn't,
I got one,
okay,
I guess it's kind of a correction or a update. I
Okay.
was looking on here, and I don't know how I missed it, but Kerry Mobley is indeed interested in doing it, but it's Mr. Kerry Mobley, so it's with a K. Yeah, well, there's 2 Kerry Mobleys.
Yep.
It's
Oh, I
Kerry
didn't know
Mobley
that.
with a K.
okay.
So I just wanted to make that adjustment. We are actively looking for another member for the Golf Course Advisory Board. Tom Keller said he would stay on until we get that filled. But with COVID going on and everything like that, and just the being out there, being able to talk to the membership, I have not been able to get one at this time. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have one, and we'll be able to announce that at the next council meeting.
But for now, these 2.
But for now, these 2, yeah. So Tom Keller is the one that will be being replaced.
Okay.
And hopefully, like I said, by the first meeting in July, we'll have that taken care of.
Okay, and I had discussion with Dan about this golf course advisory member, that if we've got somebody on that board that is term limited, and you'd like to really keep that voice, you can keep them in an advisory capacity. They wouldn't have the ability to vote. Would Tom be
Right.
interested in that? Or?
You know, I think Tom is for the time being until we get to that point where he you know, I think he feels he did his service
Okay.
for the last 6 years, and now he's ready to move on and everything like that. But he does want to stay and be involved with the meetings until I get somebody, which might only be one more meeting if we have one between now and then too. So
Okay.
so but Tom's been great, and but he's willing to stay on until then.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lance.
Right.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a question before you leave. Now, you said Bill Holland is gonna be replaced?
Yeah, he was by Kerry Mobley.
Okay. All right. Have you had any input into, does Lance get input into who we'd like to see on that board?
Yes.
Yeah,
ask him.
I'm the one who bring recommendations and everything here.
Okay, okay, I just-
And Kerry was somebody that had actually approached me about it. And so we are, there's been a few others that have approached me, but some of them say, they don't have the time commitment, they can't do mornings
Sure.
and stuff like that. So we're still looking for that final piece.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you had.
Yep, I'm
you had
very
some
involved
input
in
into it.
the
Okay.
selection and everything.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the golf course advisory board appointments.
I so move to approve the golf course advisory
Okay.
board.
Have a motion. Dan seconds. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Gatto,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Moving on to number 6, finance.
Could I mention something here?
Sure.
Before we move out of the management section, and I'm sorry for being late or anything, but we had a letter sent in by about crossing Mill Street, and Chief Boss did a super job in addressing those issues.
Well, John, it's not a management issue. Can you hold that till we get to council reports? And we can talk about that at that point?
I just thought that Chief Boss did an excellent job in responding to her. I wanted to know
absolutely.
what else we can do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. Okay, moving on to finance.
I'd like to approve disbursements and payroll from June 9th to June 22nd, 2020 in the amount of $277,518.60.
Okay, we have a motion to approve finances. we have a second?
Second.
Justin, second. Discussion. One more time?
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud? I've already been there. Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
And Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, Finance B.
I'd like to approve disbursements for recreation refunds in the amount of $7,386.65.
Okay, we have a motion to approve refunds. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion. One more time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, that concludes management items. Now we'll move on to number 7, the staff reports. First up, I have City Administrator Monty Torres.
Usually I'm the last one, so it's.
I know, yeah, she put it at the top.
Yeah, so you caught me off guard. But a couple things. First of all, with the City Hall reopening, we're still really encouraging people not to come to City Hall unless they really need to, and utilize the phones, emails, and the drop box out front, and online bill pay if they need to do it. So we're still advertising for that. But it's looking pretty good up in the front. If you came in through the front doors, the glass windows and everything looks good. The speakers work well. So that's one. The second one is on the CARES Act funds. It was not just Matt and I, but we had the whole team. Everyone contributed to getting information together very quickly because the turnaround time on this was very, very short. So we had to be very creative. And once we truly get this all put together, know what the funding is, we'll come back to council and just let you guys know what we're recommending on how to utilize the funds. But one of them of interest is we believe we will have sufficient funding to do some type of a grant program for businesses impacted by the COVID. And so we're hoping that we could do that. And then also somehow we're hoping with like the chamber, the rodeo association, for nonprofit groups that they can't hold their events where they make money, is there a way that we could get some of that money to those type of groups as well? But we'll keep you guys informed as we move along on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
When you do have the money, does council decide that, or do you guys decide?
We bring a recommendation to you guys because we'll be spending money that's not in the budget. So it's, I'll sign off on a form in the next few days saying that, hey, we'll take free money, but then that money still, because it comes in our coffers and it's not in the budget, we have to come back in just to explain how we're gonna do it. But we'll put it into a spreadsheet and show different ways or options. Or if you guys want to, we can have a special meeting and just talk about thoughts on it.
Is that would that be considered a supplemental budget or?
Yes, it'll
Okay.
have to be a supplemental
Okay.
budget, because it'll be close to the 300,000, if not more.
And it's gotta be spent before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we gotta move quickly. But if you read through that letter, it has a breakdown of all the different areas we're looking at. But of course, we're not gonna get that much money, so we gotta condense it now.
Okay. All right, next up, Assistant City Administrator, Director of Community Development, Rick Karoglian.
And I would just say, coming from a big city of Augusta to the smaller city of Brush, it is an honor to work with the staff. And I'm not here just to butter them up. It is a breath of fresh air. The staff works incredibly well together and partnering and serving, and I'm not used to that. And so it is an honor to work with them. And just a shout out just to Matt he did so much on the CARES Act. He really worked hard on that, and he did. Now I see why he's called the best and brightest. So he's really good about that. So
He came with that name and then he
I
had to earn
know.
to keep it. So
Yeah,
he's done
well,
a good job.
he actually is a title. He's a great guy, great helpmate for everything that we do. I'm still acclimating. Finally now getting able to interact with people in the community, so that's it's awesome. Met with several developers, had some interesting opportunities and discussions with them, still learning. So I'm still in that growth stage right now, And I'll also have a report in our work session about some other things that we're doing. There's lots of moths around here.
Yeah.
So that's all I have really to report.
All right, thank you, Rick. Police Chief Ross.
Good evening again. I have a lot, but I will do my best to be very quick. So
Okay.
if you want me to repeat anything or stop, just interrupt me, please. COVID updates. As of June 18th, there's been 646 COVID cases in Morgan County, 45 fatalities. You'll notice 2 weeks ago we had 46. I don't know if somebody came back to life or if they corrected things, but we dropped down to 45.
Okay.
Colorado, as of June 18th, is transitioning to a modified safer at home regulations. Because of that, the Morgan County commissioners withdrew their request for an early opening from the state. Basically, the stipulations that they were asking for came out with the new regulations. The new regulations are good through June 30th. We don't know for sure yet, but we anticipate on July 1st, the next phase, which is called protecting your neighbors or protecting our neighbors, will come out from the state. I don't know exactly what that looks like because they're still figuring that out. Different topic. Last time I brought up the Enhanced Law Enforcement Integrity and Accountability Act. That went into law on Friday. The impacts for us, there are some immediate impacts. There's some stipulations that go into place September 1st, and then more on July 1st of 2022 and July 1st of 2023. The immediate impacts has changed the definitions of deadly force, when law enforcement can use that, when we can't, how we address riots or protests, and banning the use of chokeholds. We already don't use chokeholds, so that's not a big change for us. The September 1 stuff that comes into place isn't significant, but I'd like to highlight the things that come into place on July 1st of 2022 and 2023. Beginning now, we have to start documenting significant amounts of data. There's 17 points, if you will, for every contact we make. So we have to document the name, race, ethnicity, gender orientation, why we spoke to somebody on every interaction with the public. And we have to document the results of that interaction. Was it just a contact? Did we speak to them? Did we give them a warning? Did we issue a citation? Was an arrest made? Was force used? And what was that force? So as you can see, that's a significant amount of paperwork that we now have for every person we talk to, essentially in the public. We begin tracking that data now. We report it to the state in 2023. So we'll start accumulating data, and then in 3 years it actually goes to the state. We don't know what that looks like or how that process will work. The state is trying to figure that out now, as are we. Next big piece of this, body-worn cameras are mandated in 2023. There's a lot of pieces to that, and what we have to do, we have to be able to redact imagery from our body-worn camera footage. So a simple example would be if I went into your home and you said, I don't want my 2-year-old's image being released to the public, I now have to flag that video, and we redact your child's image from the video. Videos have to be available to the public 21 days from the day they are taken. So we have to have some significant technology upgrades on our end to make this happen. Redaction is a huge part of that. Our current system is functional, but that's about it, and it does not have redaction capability, nor do we have the ability to store the amount of data that we will be storing. Just some rough numbers right now, we might have 2 hours of body camera footage in a 24-hour period. When this law goes into place, we'll be looking at roughly 96 hours of body camera footage stored in a 24-hour period. So there's a lot of storage that goes with that. Some soft numbers, again, to get us to the point where we need to be for that is roughly $120,000. And that's looking at a camera lease and cloud storage system. So it's a 5-year lease. Tentatively, we can do payments every year for 5 years, or we can pay the total sum up front or break it down. I would like to try to do this in the next year or two so that we are up and functional before July 1st of 2023, rather than try to get this all done at the last minute on July 1st, 2023. The last significant change in here is the personal liability. The officers, if they are sued and found guilty of misconduct, will be responsible for 5% up to $25,000 out of their own pocket to pay that lawsuit. There is a stipulation that if they can't pay that, the city has to pick up whatever that bill is. So that's the highlights of this bill. It's 32 pages long, and I haven't memorized it all yet. With that, we are currently hiring. We have 2 openings, one from a person who left and one from the JAG grant, and we've seen a significant drop in applicants since this went into effect. It's already impacting our hiring process. I talked to another agency, small department, that they've lost 3/4 of their officers already, almost directly because of this. So there has been some pretty significant impacts to the law enforcement community that were not intended, but they're painful. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us, but that's kind of where that's at. We are also in the hiring process for an evidence custodian. That's a part-time position, 30 hours a week. We just closed the position on Friday, and we have some great applicants. Had a great response for that. We had well over 30 very qualified people. So that'll be a tough decision to narrow it down, which is a good problem to have. And last, the 4th of July, we are geared up for parade and fireworks. We have very good plans in place, I think, to manage all of that. And that's all I've got, so.
Sorry if I missed it.
Yes, sir.
The cameras, are they on all the time, or do they click them on and off, or they're not being recorded all the time, are they?
Almost.
That's,
Any contact with the public has to be recorded.
so
So
when they're in their car, their squad car, they're not?
they're in their car, they're fine.
Okay.
But if you walk up to my window and say, I need directions to 7-Eleven, it's got to be turned on and recorded.
But bottom line, with this change with redaction capabilities, in the next couple of years, we're going to need new body cameras
Yes.
that have that capability.
Yes,
So
we
that
will need a whole new
And that's
system.
part of the unfunded mandate from the state that came
Yes, sir.
down, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One other question. One of the things you mentioned was you have to take contact information from every contact you make.
Yes, sir.
With the First Amendment auditors, when you contact them, and if, let's say, they're not in the commission of a crime and they refuse to identify themselves, does this now give you the ability to require that information to be given or not?
It does not. So if we contact somebody and they refuse to give us that information, the law basically gives us latitude for our best guess.
Okay.
So I would guess that you're a male in your early 40s or whatnot.
Okay.
So.
A description, okay. All right.
Back to the body cam footage real quick.
Yes,
I may have missed it as well. How long did you have to hold on to that for?
There's all kinds of different lengths of time that we have to retain that information for.
Okay.
So it depends on if it's a felony crime, misdemeanor crime, traffic stop, or no crime whatsoever. So
Gotcha.
that all varies depending on what the reason of contact is.
Gotcha.
Our shortest storage retention period is 90 days.
Okay. That's a ton of storage. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Thank you.
So you guys, do you have to ask them if they have their permission to be filmed, the redaction thing, or no?
We do not
Okay, cool.
yet.
Yeah.
Could change.
Okay.
If they are a victim of a crime, we have to ask for permission to release the video. But I don't know what that looks like yet either. There's some ambiguity in there that fine attorneys need to figure out for us and tell us what to do.
We're having a webinar Friday on this, so.
Oh, okay.
When you said the other day that the state had exempted themselves from this,
They had. They
that
have.
includes state patrol?
It does now. The original bill did not.
That's interesting.
So the original bill did not include any state law enforcement. They have since added state patrol.
Okay.
But CBI, Parks and Wildlife, they're not part of it. So,
Interesting.
and that comes down to the money piece and the ability to fund it on the state side.
So they expect us to come up with it, but they don't have to.
Correct.
Interesting.
It is.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, Director of Community Services, Lance.
Just a couple things. We're starting to get our recreation programs back going. If you guys have been by the softball field or the baseball field, we have started that, and things are going well. I think I just see people from around the community going there to watch. I think they're just dying for something to do
I think
and
so.
everything like that. So that's going really well. All the towns are very appreciative, for the most part, they're doing their best at the social distancing. We try to remind them as much as we can when we see them a little bit too close, but the kids are actually getting back in, finding some normalcy and all that sort of thing. So we're excited about that. And here in the next day or so, we'll start unleashing our camps that we're going to be offering in July. We just wanted to nail down a few more dates and everything like that, but we'll have various sports camps throughout the month of July, plus a running camp, and then we'll have Parks and Rec Week, where we'll have numerous activities and everything. So July should be pretty busy. The exciting thing, though, is tomorrow we will be opening up the swimming pool for the first time. It's all set to go, and we went back and forth on how best to do it. I mean, we have to keep under the 50 people and that sort of thing, and we are going to do reservations, and we're going to do this and that, but we feel as though that we're going to, for this first week, just see how many people are going to be out there. Because we are offering the 1:30 and the 3:30, so we feel that within that time spot you'll be able to get in there. We don't want to leave nobody out or anything like that. And then on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, we have night swim from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So we think there's going to be some time for everybody to get into the pool. On top of that, we do have some adult swim times, some lap swims that will be going on. And we are offering private lessons early in the morning too that you work through with our pool manager and stuff. So we think we're offering the pool. There's going to be people in the pool from basically 6 o'clock in the morning when our brush marlins, or not the brush marlins, but the Morgan County marlins are in it, and we'll have it open on the weekends all the way until 8 o'clock at night. So our guards feel like they have a good plan. They've been doing a lot of mock open-ups and everything, and we will find out what we need to correct tomorrow, but we feel like we're ready to go. So been fielding a lot of phone calls, I'm sure, at City Hall, plus in the rec department. So we're excited for it to get started, and then the other programs will get started in July too. So here to answer any questions that you guys might have any.
So it looks like, at least for now, the beginning, you're not going to need a permit that you have to pick up at City Hall or anything to swim? It's just
No,
gonna be
we have
open
punch
2
tickets.
sessions.
We have punch tickets that you can purchase at City Hall.
Oh, okay.
And everything, so you can, and that way we're trying to eliminate some of the money handling and
Oh,
all that
okay,
sort of thing.
great.
But no, we're just gonna kind of go with the flow, see how it goes these next
we
few
don't-
days. I know Akron is not doing a reservation list. Fort Morgan is, and just gonna try to,
You may not need it.
may not need it, may need it down the road. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but for those people that don't have access to a computer or anything else, they would have to come down to the City Hall to get on that reservation list anyway. So we just felt like this would be the best way possible. And if we're overrun with people, then we'll tweak it and make more of a reservation type of list.
So do you, so you have a 1:30 slot and like a 3:30 slot?
Uh-huh.
Do you just ensure that the people that were there from 1:30 to 3:30 leave?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that we
Okay.
clear out the whole pool and disinfect.
Okay.
And then those people that were in line that maybe didn't get in, they get the first priority for
And
that.
then if the other ones want to go back.
Right,
they can.
then
Okay.
they're able to do that.
That's a great idea.
So that's kind of how we're going to handle this
Good.
So if they show up without a reservation, can they stand?
There is no reservations.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no reservations at all, so.
Okay.
Just a first come, first served.
Yeah, yep,
Cool.
yep. So we will do our best, and then if somebody leaves during that 1:30 to 3:30 and there's somebody waiting outside the door, we'll bring that person in or that family in or whatever, and we're gonna have somebody there the whole time just monitoring that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because we don't really know what the demand is until we open it up and see.
Right.
So,
And then the only drawback is that we see is if somebody goes in there at 2:30, they have to realize, and we'll make
Oh,
sure.
we're closing
Yeah,
soon.
it closes in an hour and a half so that your fee.
Yeah.
Doesn't carry over to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Is the
plan.
maintenance on the pool gonna be
It's done.
done in this timeframe?
Yeah,
It's done.
the pool's
Oh, it's
painted,
done?
the pool's painted, it's all patched,
okay.
it looks great, it's running great, everything looks really nice, and, the guards have done a good job cleaning things up, and,
Okay.
they're ready to go.
I know-
Our grass is a little brown right now, because all the equipment that was in there when they were painting and
Yeah.
stuff, but that'll come back soon.
Okay. I just didn't know that was.
Yeah, it looks good, looks really good. They did a good job.
All right, terrific. Good news. Thank you, Lance. Let's see, Director of Public Works, Dale Colrick.
Thank you, Mayor. My standard answer is June 30th, so.
June 30th?
June
Okay.
30th.
Okay.
So-
I know what you're talking about.
We're talking about opening up Edison Street. Right now, they're really on schedule. Things are looking good. We're still looking at a June 30 opening of it. They still have to seal the weakened joints that they saw cut in there. They have to do some touch-up stuff, and on the approaches, get those asphalted in, and then at some point in time, they have to come and take the cure off the top of the asphalt, because, or the concrete, I mean, because the paint won't stick to it. Really a big shout out to CDOT, Scott Contracting, Martin Marietta, and even our own crews for the work in getting this done in such a fast manner.
They did.
It's really a quality project, and I think it's going to be one of those first steps to help our downtown, because I know, I mean, why would you want a business if your building constantly rattles and you're breaking windows and such? And so they've done a great job of making this roadway smooth. Like I say, they got to come in and do some diamond grinding here tomorrow, so just a couple of spots. Other than that, Scott Contracting did an excellent job. I mean, a really good job.
That's good to hear.
Had to take out a lot of the native soil that was there and then bring it back up to grade with a really good product for a base. And then 9 inches of concrete. This should really be a great enhancement to the freight traffic that has to come through the middle of Brush. And so, very excited about that. And then, any questions on that particular project yet?
Well, I have a
Before we move on?
question in regards to the Clayton Street, Highway 34 intersection that they've torn up. What was the problem?
Well, you're talking about here today or the last couple of days?
Yeah.
There were some problems with the way that the manholes were set and the way that we call them a weakened joint, where they saw cut into the concrete. So there were some issues with that they had to come back and fix. And so, and for whatever reason, I guess over last week, they didn't get the dowels put in to the concrete. So they had to tear it out again. But other than that, it's really nice. I'm really impressed with the work that's been done.
I'm glad to hear you say June 30th, because I've been telling everybody July 15th. We're going to look really good.
There's not a single driver I work with that didn't complain about that stretch of road to begin with. I think they're all super excited. Not one complaint that it's been closed.
Oh, is
They're
that,
all
I
super
haven't had any,
excited.
no,
Yeah.
I haven't had one complaint either.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of complaints, but it's two individuals, and CDOT addressed those complaints with those individuals. And so, it's just, yes, that's all I've heard is compliments on this project. And I couldn't help myself, and I did get permission, and I drove it today. And it is smooth.
Oh, cool.
So I had to.
Good, you should have been first.
So, any other questions on the roadway here?
So that's a separate project from what's gonna happen for the rest of,
It's all combined. The work that's being done on the interstate right now is combined with the Highway 34 mill and overlay project. They've stretched it into a 2-year project, and so.
so it'll still go from Custer to Hospital Road eventually?
Yes, that'll probably be 2021.
Okay.
It's a little bit out of your purview, but what we see road construction between here and Fort Morgan, do you think that's pretty much done now, where they had the temporary light in place just on the west side of Brush?
No, I had to go to Fort Morgan the other day, and I noticed that they only got one half the highway done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when those lights were there for the bridge projects, because there was a certain amount of work that needed to be done on the bridges. And so they had to close one lane
Okay.
and open it up, and that's why they had the light there. But
Okay.
we shouldn't have any problems with, I don't think they'll be using lights when they do the mill and overlay.
Well, coming, you can't save any time getting on the interstate coming
No.
east on 76. I waited 20 minutes there
Yes.
the other day. I should have.
They're still doing a lot of work on the asphalted portions, plus they're
Right.
also upgrading the guardrails on the interstate as well. And so they're also looking at putting message boards up on the interstate, which is
Yeah.
separate total project from the 3476 project. But so you'll expect to see a lot more communication from CDOT to the motoring public with that project. One final other thing to bring up is Chief finally did authorize me to get some signage to put up there between Howell and Princeton Court. in the alleyway where there's the walking path, so to indicate that, hey, there's people that'll be walking or pedestrians. I'm still going to visit with Chief a little bit more about what it is he'd like to see, as well as over there by Pettis Park, get some signage up there to indicate that there are some children. But I do agree with Chief Boss that that was a very good response to that particular request.
Yes.
And one thing that we have to be very careful about, and I've heard this from previous police chiefs, is that if you put in those crosswalks like that, it gives a false sense of security to individuals, and they will walk out there thinking that everything's okay, and someone not paying attention driving, you know, would actually, you know, maybe strike pedestrians. So I just wanted to point that out, that I've heard in the past that those crosswalks do provide false senses of security. But we're
You know
gonna be
what,
working on
yeah.
the signage, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and when the lady brought this idea, when we all got the letter, I think all of us thought, oh, yeah, heck yeah, that's what, didn't think about the fact that if you encourage somebody to walk across in an area like that, that it can actually increase the danger, so I
Mhm.
appreciate that too.
Exactly.
That letter's came up a couple times. Did they ever decide about the benches on that?
Yeah, I gotta check with Dale Creston, but we have a bench, and so if it's not set already, it should be set in the next day or so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
I've had a couple people ask if we're doing the mosquito.
We have been, yes.
Okay. I haven't been paying attention, so I didn't know how to answer the
I've
question.
heard them a couple times.
Right. In the past, I know that they were spraying just a little bit earlier than what they're supposed to be, and we do have a problem with bees in this particular spray, so we have to make sure that the bees are back in their hives before we can actually spray, and that's usually right at dusk. So what was probably more visible in a couple of years past, now you're going to see is going to be much later in the evening, probably starting at dusk. Right now, it's right around
Yeah.
7:30ish, 8.
Okay. That's probably why they asked. They just haven't seen the.
Yes,
the
and
trucks.
sometimes they go until midnight,
Okay.
so. Okay,
Very good.
any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Best and brightest, Matt.
Hello again. Thank you again. I don't really have anything except I only have 6 months left in this internship. So
Oh, you're at 6 months?
6 months.
Oh.
Thank you for the wild ride, the year and a half. It's been a blast, but just letting you know.
Okay. All right. Finance Director, Joanne.
You said the best for last.
Yes.
Oh, we're not even done. We got 2 more to go. So.
Oh, well, darn, I'm not even the best. I just had one quick item. We have started our compensation study. Employers Council is doing that. They should have something to us as far as the compensation piece of it by late July, early August. And then we've incorporated the benefits in that as well, but they don't get that information overall for the state until September. So we'll probably have one piece and then the other piece will come in
Okay.
to incorporate it all together. But it is being worked on, and we've answered several questions for them and sent them job descriptions, and so we should
And
have
that's
something.
Mountain States Council?
Mhm,
Is that-
Employers
okay.
Council.
Okay.
And we'll have it probably to bring to you at budget time.
They kind of judge that from other, the same position in other towns.
Yeah,
or-
we got to pick out communities of similar size in our area, so we're not picking out the front range.
Mhm.
We're picking out communities that are our size, similar size in our area. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Joanne.
Uh-huh.
Okay, City Clerk, Lorenda.
I just have a
No-
couple
none of
quick
that.
things.
I know, sorry. I just choked on my own spit. It's
Somebody
okay.
masks up.
Okay.
Just 2 things for you guys. The first one is I'd hoped to discuss the liquor license fee schedule tonight, but I just couldn't work it out for tonight, so that'll
Okay.
be a later meeting. And then the second thing is the CML annual business meeting. They were supposed to have the CML conference going on this week, which of course has been canceled. They're still holding the annual meeting. It's going to be held virtually from 10 to 11:30 on Thursday for anyone who wants to attend. Just go in and register. If you want any help registering, let me know and I'll help you with that. Help you out with that. Mayor Bain is our voting delegate for this year, and he's also a candidate for the executive board. Just wanted to bring that
Yes,
up.
thank you for the endorsement, Council. I appreciate that.
That's all I had.
All right, thank you. City Attorney, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. I've really just been helping staff with a couple things here and there, so everything I would update you with has already been said, so if you have any questions for me, great. If not, I won't waste your time.
All right, thank you, Dan. Okay, number 8, mayor and council reports. Council have anything to report tonight? No? Okay. Miranda, do you have the executive script that combines the 2 executive sessions?
As for the motion to go into executive session?
Yeah, we don't need anything special for that, just, okay, just an announcement that we have 2 executive sessions, and we're going to combine those executive sessions, so we're only gonna need 1 motion and a 2/3 vote to retire into executive session. So at this time, I would look for a motion to do that.
So is, is that just the CRS one? Is that the one we're going into?
Well, I think we will need, well, I'll let Dan speak to that.
Should you want to go into executive session to discuss more than one matter, typically the motion would be something along the lines of, I move to go into executive sessions for 2 matters, the first being, and then cite the CRS statute and the reason why, and the second being, cite the CRS statute.
So list both of those in the same motion. Okay?
Go ahead, Dana.
Yep, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, give it to you, Dana.
Okay.
I move we go into executive session to discuss 2 matters, CRS 24-6-4024A, for the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of a real, personal, or property, or the property interest. And executive session CRS 24-6-4024B, for conferences with an attorney for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions.
Okay. We have
Is
the
there
motion.
2 in that one? What's this one? CRS 24-6-4024, determining positions. Is there 2 in that one?
I apologize. The 11th of June, there was a case decided that could get us in a little bit of trouble here, so.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna talk about
I
that
just
too.
want to make sure that we make a clear record of why we're going into executive session.
Okay.
The case basically says you need to give the public as much information as you possibly can about the reason for the executive session without ruining the whole
Purpose
need
of
to
the-
keep it confidential.
Okay.
So in the first one, the 24-6-4024A,
Yeah.
with regards to real estate, I believe council is looking at that as a matter to be discussed as the purchase of real estate for office space. And then in the second,
Okay. Okay.
with regards to receiving specific legal advice from an attorney, the matter to be discussed is and I
Whitesell.
apologize, the Whitesell litigation.
Whitesell litigation.
Whitesell litigation. Okay, so you want to make sure that's in the record to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What he said.
Okay, we've amended your motion to
Amended my-
include those 2 items?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Dan seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why do we, on the second portion of that motion, why do we need to have legal advice?
Well, because that
Well, we already
the second portion that we gave to help a counselor make that motion didn't include specific enough information that Dan
For Dan,
addressed. Yeah.
you're gonna be in the exec session to help us get that verbiage to do that, or?
It just need to be
Yes.
included in the motion, right?
That's correct. So
Okay.
it just needs to be in the motion so that right now we're on the public record, so the public knows what we're generally gonna discuss in executive session.
Yeah. So that motion covered that, John.
Okay, so we're not, okay. all
We're
right.
good.
You're good with that?
Yes.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Gatto?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Okay. This time, we'll enter into executive session.